Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Myanmar's deposed leader Aung San Suu Kyi has been charged with additional criminal offences as protesters have been marching in defiance of a crackdown by security forces.
Prosecution side added 2 more cases on Aung San Suu Kyi.
An additional charge of prohibiting the publication of information that may cause fear or disrupt public tranquility, and a charge relating to her alleged ownership of walkie-talkies have been added to the previous ones. The violent clashes between the armed forces and the protesters that have left 18 dead over the weekend have not stopped, as Yangon police can be seen firing tear gas and rubber bullets at demonstrators. The UN Human Rights Office has said they strongly condemn the escalating violence and has called on the military to immediately halt the use of force against peaceful protesters. Hundreds of people have gathered outside a Hong Kong court ahead of a hearing for 47 democracy activists charged with conspiracy to commit subversion. The group has been charged under the Beijing-imposed national security law in the largest single crackdown on the democratic opposition by authorities. The activists have been accused of organising and participating in an unofficial primary election last July. Former US President Donald Trump has hinted at a possible run for president again in 2024 in his first major appearance since leaving the White House nearly 6 weeks ago.
Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay?
At the Conservative Political Action Conference, the country's largest annual gathering of Republicans and Conservatives, Mr. Trump also declared the Republican Party is united and has said he has no plans to try to launch a third party. Hundreds of Trump supporters gathered outside the event and held a makeshift rally in his honour. The former French President Nicolas Sarkozy and 2 former associates have been sentenced to 3 years in jail for corruption. The 66-year-old was found guilty of trying to bribe a magistrate by offering a prestigious job in Monaco in return for information about a criminal inquiry into his political party. Sarkozy's ex-lawyer got the same sentence. In the ruling, the judge said Sarkozy could serve house arrest with an electronic tag. The ex-president is expected to appeal. The fiancé of murdered Saudi journalist JAMAL Khashoggi has called for Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to be punished after a US intelligence report found he had approved the killing. Hatis Sengiz has said the Crown Prince should be punished without delay. Mr. Khashoggi, a US resident who wrote opinion columns for the Washington Post criticising Saudi policies, was killed in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in 2018.
We are going to hold them accountable for human rights abuses, and we're going to make sure that they, in fact, and if they want to deal with us, they have to deal with it in a way where human rights abuses are dealt with.
US President Joe Biden has imposed sanctions on a senior aide to the prince, as well as others who it said have played a role in Khashoggi's death. Armenian opposition protesters calling for the Prime Minister's resignation have stormed a government building in the capital, Yerevan. Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan has faced protests after losing last year's bloody conflict with Azerbaijan over the disputed region of Nagorno-Karabakh that has killed thousands and has seen broad areas of territory ceded. Over 15,000 people have descended to the capital over the weekend to demand Mr. Pashinyan's resignation. Ivory Coast has started its COVID-19 vaccination campaign in the first national rollout of the UN-backed COVAX programme. A plane carrying 504,000 doses of the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine arrived in the country, and healthcare workers in the city of Abidjan will be the first to be inoculated. The COVAX programme is the biggest vaccine procurement plan in human history, designed to distribute 2 billion doses by the end of this year. And finally, dancers and musicians of the Stuttgart Ballet have been taking the phrase social distancing bubbles quite literally. The artists have been performing inside these PVC bubbles to perform for German photographer Florian Menhert in a project called Social Distance Stacks. Since the air-filled bubbles are hermetic, Mr. Menhert has only a window of about 10 to 15 minutes to capture the perfect shots. The project hopes to highlight the impact of social distancing during the pandemic and the isolation that affects us all. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.